I'm starting my life over at 30. Is this crazy? So full disclosure, you guys, this is a share. This is a vulnerable share. And I'm going into my story and I just really feel like being open with you guys. So here we are. I thought my true awakening was back in April 2024 when I left my job. I only took the job because I wanted to help out my family. Well, if I'm being honest, I took the job because I wanted to control the situation. And I could not handle the fact that my man was at home handling finances. I couldn't handle letting him be the breadwinner. My ego couldn't take it. Like, I just could not take sitting home doing nothing. So I took the job that I knew how to do, that I was good at, but I also hated to do, because it was really the only thing that I could do quickly, that I could get a job in that I knew would pay me some money and I could feel useful again. But as soon as I took the job, I immediately felt resistance. Like, nothing could go my way. And I've never had an issue in my 10-year career in healthcare. But for some reason at this particular job, as soon as I hit the door, I just felt a lot of resistance, a lot of conflict, just a lot of tension. And I couldn't explain it, but I thought that it was just me getting back into the groove of things, you know, me getting back into the working field after having a baby. I mean, honestly, it's probably why I only lasted 6 months. I was getting into arguments with coworkers. I was getting passed over for promotions that I really thought I deserved and was qualified for. And then the pain started happening. I started getting chest pain. It was weird because I started getting this like intense chest pain at work and at home. And I consider myself a relatively healthy person. So getting sick wasn't something I was getting used to. Definitely not something where like my heart was hurting. So it was a big shock for me. And then it kept getting worse. I was stressed out at home, trying to be the super mom, trying to take care of my family, trying to be a good partner to my man and trying to support him while still spending the rest of my time at work. And I really just felt like I couldn't win. You know, I was stressed out all the time. I was exhausted all the time. And then the chest pain kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I didn't know what was happening to me because, again, I never felt anything like this before. Like, it just felt like my chest was tight. And everything was hard. And it was so much pressure, like, sitting on my chest. And it's like the best way I could describe it. And after I've been dealing with it for like a month or two, it got worse. I'll never forget, I went to work one day and sometime between the time I got in the door and maybe 30 minutes later, I found myself on the floor crying. It felt like my chest was on fire. Like I could not breathe. And the pressure was so intense. I was crying, like the staff was all around me trying to figure out what's going on. My boss had to take me to the ER, which was convenient because I worked at a hospital. But needless to say, I was scared. I was really scared. And while I was sitting there, they had me on the hospital gurney and everybody was buzzing around me, the doctors, the nurses, they were hooking me up to machines and they were taking tests and doing all of these things. My boss was sitting in the corner, like trying not to freak out. And there was like other employees going to my locker, grabbing my stuff, calling my fiance, my baby came. Like, it was so much going on. And in the midst of like all this external chaos, I heard this voice in my head. And it told me, if you don't leave, you're going to die. So shortly after I had this incident and I was at the hospital, I decided to quit. And this was one of the scariest decisions I made for like many, many reasons. I mean, financial, just personal. My ego couldn't take it. Like, it was a whole lot going on. And I was scared. I was scared to rely on someone else. I was scared to let go of control. I was scared to trust that I made the right decision, that the voice that I heard in my head wasn't me being crazy, that I was following a path. I was doing the right thing. Nothing that I can confirm at the time. It was just I acted on something that I felt in my heart to be true. But after I quit, that voice just kept playing in my head over and over and over again, and it made me realize that I had to make some serious life changes. And that started my 1-year healing journey. You see, because I had been operating in survival and burnout for so long, my body was physically breaking down, and it could no longer handle the stress of life and the stress that I was putting on it every single day. Like, I had no idea how to move with ease or with peace, or just to separate my mind from like reality. So in April of 2024, I had decided to just remove any of the extra stress that was in my life and really let go of those limiting beliefs and fears that I've been holding that have been keeping me stuck in survival mode for so long. So therefore, I had to stop associating making money with my self-worth and making that validation for my life and my purpose. I had to learn how to be fully present for my daughter, because at the time I had almost no confidence in my ability to raise her and to be a good mom. Like, I kept thinking, how is someone as broken and messed up as me going to raise a strong and successful and independent daughter? Like, how? I had to learn how to make myself a priority again, and how to fill my own cup so that I could give from the overflow instead of giving from lack and lack and lack, and extending myself and stretching myself way too thin all the time. And that year was hard. That year was really hard. Like, it challenged me in so many ways. My family, thank God, stuck around with me because there was so many ups and downs, but mostly downs in the beginning. And me and my partner were fighting all the time, and I was so, I want to say bipolar with my moods, because I just didn't know how to act, I didn't know how to behave. I was completely rearranging and shifting my life to a new reality that I wasn't really prepared for. And I thought that me leaving my job was it, like that was the thing. But the thing and the work was rooted in, okay, now what does your life look like? Okay, how do you feel fulfilled? How do you create space for yourself? How do you create space for your family? How do you feel? Because when have I ever really stopped to ask myself, how do I feel? It was always, what needs to get done? Who needs me? What do I need to do? I was so busy living a life based off of a schedule or a checklist that I had no idea who I was. I didn't even know what made me happy. And so removing the job was the first part, because then it gave me space and time to just sit with, oh, you're home for an extra 40 hours a week. You're gonna have to figure out who you are. You're gonna figure out what you like. And I did enroll into school, which is going very well. But again, that wasn't it, because I initially enrolled into school so that I wouldn't be so unproductive. And that was a test for me that I had to learn. And I'm still in it because it's something I've committed to. But at the time, I did it because I was so anxious, and I was so used to like doing stuff that I couldn't like sit still. I couldn't be present. And I didn't want to face my own shit. I didn't want to face my own demons. And so this year off, this year of healing, this journey, this experiment that I started was a huge test. And looking back a little over a year later, I think that I have successfully achieved some of those things. I think that I've successfully grown in a lot of areas. I think that I did what I was supposed to do in that time period, and yet I feel like there's so much more to uncover. There's so much more inner work that needs to be done that I have to step into. This July, I celebrated my 30th birthday, and I'm so excited for this new chapter, for this new year. And I also just passed my Saturn return. And your Saturn return is supposed to represent a period in your life where you are going to be tested for growth. And this usually occurs like every 28 to 30 years. And so I'll probably see another one by the time I'm 60. But I just passed mine, and I felt it. I felt it. And yet, I feel like there's still more to do. I feel like this was just the tip of the iceberg, and I feel like life is pulling me into a new direction, but one that is requiring me to go deeper, to look inward, to find a new part of myself, if that makes sense. I can only describe that voice in my head as God, Buddha, Krishna, Spirit, Jehovah, whatever you want to call it. And that voice was guiding me into a new life, that it was guiding me into a new path. And that path is necessary for me to grow and to get to where I'm right now. I thought that after my year's experiment or my healing journey, whatever you want to call it, my year off was over, that I would just go back to work. I would just go back to life as normal. But that's not right. That's just not right for me anymore. I think that God has other plans for me, and I can't see the full road. I can't see the full journey. I don't know what it looks like at the end. I'm getting bits and pieces and little whispers and nudges from the universe here and there, and I'm just kind of going with it. So because I don't know, I'm just going on faith, and I'm choosing to pivot my life again. As scary as that may seem, as scary as that may be, I'm learning to listen to what's being asked of me, to really hear when God and Spirit and whoever is talking to me, because I've done it my way. I've done my plan, and it didn't work. I landed in the hospital trying to ignore things, trying to push, trying to exist in a world that I was told that I should be a part of, but I didn't really feel like I was a part of, if that makes sense. I hope it does. Up until now, my plan only got me so far. So who am I to not listen to God's, to see where it may lead me? Instead of letting things go, I think I'm being called to dig deeper. I already shared that a lot of my life was centered around making money and external validation and all of the things, which I've been working through to get to a greater sense of self-worth and self-love than I ever had before. And I'm so proud of that. But there's still so much work to be done around setting boundaries, around surrendering, and learning to go with the flow of life instead of fighting against it all the time. I think that me acknowledging Spirit's words was just the beginning. And that day in the hospital and me accepting this new challenge of learning to release control and learning to release all that I found comfortable and familiar was just the first step. And yet that was an act of surrender in itself. But that was just the beginning. And there's so much inner work to be done. So I've decided to document my journey and share it on this channel with you all. This is extremely personal for me. But I know that I'm not the only one that's going through these things. So that's why I'm sharing it. And I'm going to use my life as a test or an experiment to really document my journey and the healing and the growth that happens when you're able to surrender, when you're able to listen, learn to listen to what's being asked of you, and know that there's a greater plan and believe that. I have gained so much clarity over the last year, and yet there's so much that I don't know. But I'm learning, and I'm going to share it with you all. So here I am at 30, completely changing and pivoting my life again. If you want to follow me on this journey, then I invite you to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my upcoming content about womaning and or mothering with conscious intention. And until next time, Mama, I am sending you so much love and support because you deserve it. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Wait, before you go, Mama, I want to invite you to the Conscious Queendom Book Club. This is a space just for us where we can grow and heal and connect without feeling all the pressure. And I'm inviting you because I know that community is something that you've been craving lately. And I wanted to create a space that felt safe enough for us to express our thoughts freely while still serving as a space for us to heal and to grow and to connect. We meet every couple months for our Soulful Sundays, and we want to see you in the next meeting. So click the link in the description box below so that you can sign up. Our next Soulful Sunday starts soon. See you there.